The verse of the day is Matthew 5:37, and it says, "Just say a simple yes I will or no I won't. Anything beyond this is from the evil one." Now, I don't want to be dramatic, but this verse 100% changed my life. This verse is my second favorite verse in the Bible. My first is Romans 12:2, but this one, no doubt number 2, because if you practice today's verse, you will get to know who you are and you will get to know the God in you. Today's verse is the how-to when it comes to building trust in your identity and in hearing God's voice within you. Apart from obviously the power of Jesus, today's verse is what has gotten me to where I am today. Today's verse is how I know God the way I do. Today's verse is how I feel confident to hear his voice and confident to keep moving forward. Today's verse can get you out of depression, because it did for me. Depression usually is connected to feeling stuck in some reality in your life. My past, people pleasing, not honoring me, not honoring what I think, what I feel, what I want to do, what God thinks and feels within me. So when you constantly break trust with yourself and you people please and you say no when you mean yes and you say yes when you mean no and you say yes then you cancel, you say maybe, you are back and forth, that is anxiety. That is breaking trust with yourself every time you don't follow through. When you follow through, that communicates to yourself that you know how to be a woman of your word, a man of your word. When you follow through, you're showing yourself that you're able to do the things that you say. So think about it. Say you're out and about in the world and you're talking to someone, they invite you to do something in your head. You really don't want to do anything, but they're like, let's do this. And you're like, yeah, okay, I'm in. You go home and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Or maybe a couple days pass and you're like, I changed my mind. I don't want to do that. You have anxiety about canceling because you don't want to be the flaky one. So that in itself is disturbing your peace. Then you end up canceling. That scenario is an example of how you don't know how to follow you. You don't know how to follow and own your thoughts and opinions to have your back. So the reason why you can fall into depression is because you're giving yourself evidence of why you're stuck, of why maybe you can't develop relationships or create new friendships, of why maybe you don't have confidence and you don't know how to own what you think and feel. You are giving yourself evidence, not to say that that's truth, not to say that that's who you are. It's just what you're learning and working through, but you are giving yourself evidence, which means if you focus on that, you're going to feel stuck in your reality, because when you go out into the world, those things keep happening. And it isn't until your yes is yes, your no is no, and you own the fact that the peace might be disturbed because you can't please everyone. And in you honoring what you feel led to do and what God feels led to do within you, you are going to build trust in yourself. You're going to feel more confident out in the world because you know you're going to honor you. You know you're going to have your back. You know you're not going to say things just to say things, so you're not going to be stuck in situations you don't want to be stuck in. The prayer, Lord, help me to be a woman of my word, I have been praying for years. And that prayer has no doubt built so much confidence in who I am, has no doubt helped me figure out what I like, helped me figure out how to take one step towards anything. Because when you have broken trust with yourself, this is why you don't know what you're passionate about. This is why you feel like you can't hear God's voice. This is why you feel like you can't accomplish the things you're desiring, or maybe you don't know what you're desiring, because a verse like today will expose, are you a woman or a man of your word? Do you follow through? Do you even know how to say yes or no in terms of, do you know what you want? And sometimes we don't, because we've broken trust so many times. So going back to the basics, this verse helps me go back to the basics. Whenever I'm feeling out of control or that I don't have confidence in myself, I go back to today's verse. I say, okay, is my yes, yes, and is my no, no? And a lot of times it isn't. A lot of times I've been wishy-washy or back and forth. Sometimes you have to take this verse all the way back and be like, okay, today I'm going to honor my yes in that I am going to make myself lunch at home. That's my yes. I'm going to honor my no in that if someone asks me to hang out tonight because I'm so tired, I'm going to say no. And little things like that will help you build trust that you can be a woman of your word, a man of your word. You can listen to what God is doing in you. And those two things will make or break your ability to follow God's lead in your day-to-day life. Something that is really important to remember with a verse like today is you might feel really connected to your spirit and in alignment with God one moment, which means you will give a yes to something because it's your spirit saying yes. It's God leading you to say yes. Then a day or two might pass and you might be in your flesh or irritated or just feeling bothered. And then you might want to say no to the thing you said yes to because now you're functioning in your flesh. We have to honor our yes because sometimes God leads us to say yes when we're in alignment with Him. And later on, we might want to say no because we're not being spirit-led in that moment. We're following our flesh or what we desire or feeling comfortable. Honoring our yes is being obedient because God will lead us to say yes. And the devil will try to get us to say no a few days later because he wants us to be confused. He wants us to feel anxiety. He wants us to break trust in ourselves. If you are an indecisive person, this verse is your life verse. This verse will be your homework, something you should prioritize, because I used to be and still go in and out sometimes of feeling indecisive. And whenever I am indecisive, I go back to today's verse and I say, let my yes be yes and my no be no. How can I make one decision here? How can I make a small decision and honor that decision and start there? To give a really simple example, this past summer, I was a camp counselor at my church and I had said yes. I signed up, I went to the training, I'm in, I'm going, I have a leader, etc. That week, I was getting overwhelmed. I was feeling stressed about money. I was feeling stressed about time. I let all these thoughts crowd in on my mind, and I reached out to them and I said, I don't think I can go. I changed my mind. I'm so sorry. My schedule isn't allowing me to. That whole day, I thought I would feel a release of pressure. I felt even more anxiety when I changed my mind. And then I went back the next day and I said, just kidding. I'm in. I'm coming. So much peace. This trip ended up being so special to me and my favorite part of the summer, honestly. And I knew God was leading me to go. And I knew the devil is a liar and was trying to cause stress and anxiety to get me to change my mind. Honoring your yes is the most wise thing you can do when you've made a decision, because that's how you maintain peace, is walking out your yeses and walking out your nos. If we don't honor our yeses and our nos, we will not feel capable to hear the yeses and the nos that God is telling us. So this is how you build that trust and how you learn how to hear God's voice more and how you stand confident in your identity and in your decision making, because God's doing it with you. So have your back, start small, have your yes be yes and your no be no, and follow through, no matter how different your flesh feels 2 days later or leading up to that decision. Okay?